We are back again. Welcome back to Kosi's Arsenal podcast, guys. My name is Kosi. We are back. Beaten Chelsea 1-0. An ugly win is still a win. I mean, that is all I can say. An ugly win is still a win. What a game. Chelsea absolutely deserved anything positive in that game. A point, 3 points. Talk about whatever it was. I think Chelsea deserved more than they got in that game. But I will give credit to Arsenal for I think there were positives we showed in that game, especially the fact that we scored out of nowhere because we didn't create chances in that game. We scored out of nowhere and we were able to hold on to that lead for all that long, because we literally scored as early as 16 minutes in that game. And Chelsea pressed us throughout the first half, throughout the second half. They did absolutely everything positive. They had more. They had 755 passes. They had 68 ball possession. They had 19 shots on goal. They had 5 shots on targets. You think it was the result doesn't really tell what was on that on the pitch or in the evening, but we're gonna speak about that. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel as well. I need your thoughts on that game. Who was your man of the match? Because I think Chelsea was so brilliant. They were so good. It only gives me a reason as to why they're in the in the UCL finals. And looking at our performance today, it only shows me why. It only summarizes our season. Why Arsenal is where we are this season. But anyway, guys, welcome back to the channel. Let's get into it. Arsenal 1, Chelsea 0. First and foremost, let's look at some of the statistics that are key, that were key in this tie. Arsenal had 5 shots on goal, and we scored 1. Chelsea had 19 shots on goal. You can see the big difference between, the press and the attack of the two teams. Chelsea had 5 shots on target. They didn't score any. Arsenal had only 2 shots on target. We shall talk about that in detail because it's literally what we've been doing all season. We had 2 shots on target. A ball possession, Chelsea had 68%, and I think this is even a lie. I think the ball possession was at about 75%, because literally all Arsenal was doing was receive that ball and then push it away just to relieve the pressure, and then Chelsea bring it back again. Ball possession for Arsenal was 32%. Passes for Chelsea, 755 passes. Arsenal, we recorded 365 passes. Literally, they doubled our passes, and the reason there is they had more of the ball. Arsenal was just tracking their footsteps. That is what was happening on the pitch. Passing accuracy, they had an 89%. We had an 80%. Passing accuracy has always been our problem. Arsenal players making 1-yard passes, 2-yard passes, basic 5-yard passes is still a problem. So I'm not surprised with the low passing accuracy. Fouls, it was 6-7, which was a little bit balanced. We had 1 yellow card. They didn't have no red cards recorded in the game. Chelsea had 4 offsides. And we had 9 corners for Chelsea, and Arsenal had only 1 corner. So I think we were in an oven. What Chelsea did was to lock us in an oven, and we barely survived. We came out alive, and everybody is asking themselves, how are we alive? That's what happened in that game. Arsenal locked into an oven, put at maximum heat degrees, and then we come out alive. What this game actually means for the table, Chelsea have stayed 4th on the table with 64 points, 36 games tied with Leicester City. Leicester City are just 2 points ahead of them. They have 66. And Chelsea are now 6 points clear of West Ham, who are 5th, and they are 7 points clear of Liverpool. Liverpool are 6th. So it looks like Chelsea will be struggling with the likes of Leicester City and West Ham and Liverpool to see whether they qualify for the Champions League as 4th, or they might need to win the UEFA Champions League final as well. It's another avenue. Arsenal on the table. This is a game that really meant not much, in terms of Arsenal climbing the table. We have played 36 games. We have that means we have 2 games left to play in this season. We have recorded 55 points. This is so low. This is so low. I'm ashamed of saying this. This is so low. But there's a point. There's a positive to take out of this game, and I'm gonna say it outrightly open. So we have climbed the table to 8th with 55 points. However, Everton are also on 55 points, and they have 2 games in hand. Literally, if they win their games, they will be 6 points ahead of us. So that doesn't sound so good. Leeds are 50 points, have 50 points. They are 10th. That means even if they win their game, the next game they will not be able to catch us. Aston Villa are another threat. They have 48 points. That means if they win their next game, they will go to 51 points. Their next game, if they win their 2 games in hand, they'll go to around 54 points. So the race between Arsenal and Aston Villa on the table, including the likes of Tottenham Hotspur, who are just 1 point ahead of us with a game in hand, and the likes of Everton and Leeds, is still very, very tight. So we have not climbed so much in terms of the table. If you want to know the table, Arsenal stands at 36 games, 55 points, with a goal difference of 12 after beating Chelsea. One of the things you have to know is we had not beaten Chelsea ever since the 5-3 win against them at the Stamford Bridge. So this is our first time to beat Chelsea at the Stamford Bridge ever since 2011. Robin van Persie and the likes of I think Robin van Persie getting a hat-trick, and then our left back in that Santos getting onto the score sheet as well. I do not remember the other goal scorer, but it's been a long time. Ever since 2011, this is when we've beaten Chelsea. It's also another positive that we have beaten Chelsea. Of course, for me, this doesn't mean London is red, literally, because it has always been red, but we have beaten Chelsea home and away this season. It's surprising. They've been absolutely remarkable ever since Thomas Tuchel took on, and we have beaten them away from home. We beat them 3-0 at home in the first leg in December on Boxing Day. And that was the turn of our season, because remember, we had gone a very long time without getting a win. We beat Chelsea out of the blue, and our season changed. So literally, it looks like this time Chelsea has not gotten a single point on us. However much they needed at least a point, because a point would take them to 65 points, 1 point behind Leicester City. That would be a little bit more comfortable for them, but unfortunately, they have not been able to do that. They stay fourth, fighting with West Ham and Liverpool. I want to go into deep down to digest my thoughts on the game and overall performance on that pitch, because I wasn't very, very pleased. I'm not deluded. So a 1-0 win, that doesn't really mean. I mean, if we had dominated that game, it would mean it would mean a lot, but by the fact that we were dominated ridiculously by Chelsea, for me, it really doesn't throw me away. The starting lineups, this is what we started with as Arsenal. Leno started in goal. Pablo Mari, Gabriel and Rob Holding played a back 3. I was so relieved to see that it was a back 3. I thought Rob Holding was playing at right back. Saka played as the right back. Mohamed Elneny and Thomas Partey played the midfield pivot, with Kieran Tierney at left back, but very, very close to the midfield. Emil Smith-Rowe and Martin Odegaard played as the 2 behind Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Eventually, Emil Smith-Rowe in the 16th minute of the game recorded his 2nd goal of the Premier League in his career. Kepa Arrizabalaga started for Chelsea. Cesar Azpilicueta and Thiago Silva and Katzuma played a back 3 as well. The difference is that Thomas Tuchel decided to play a midfield of 4 with James, Gilmour, Jorginho and Chilwell just in front of the back 3. Mason Mount, Christian Pulisic were the 2 that followed Kai Havertz at the beginning of the game, and of course a couple of changes were made as the game was underway. So I don't know what Arsenal fans think. I'm an Arsenal fan. My thought is nothing has changed. I want the manager out. I want the owners out. I need a big transfer summer. Nothing has changed. But to start with the positives, because I think we need to give credit where where it's due, and then we need to criticize, because we always do criticize, whether we've been told or we've been not told. We always do criticize. So to start with the positives of the game, literally, I think one of the things that have not been seen at Arsenal this season is Arsenal being able to hold such a win against a club like Chelsea for almost 70 minutes. Almost 70 minutes, because Chelsea pressed us hard. We kept our composure. We were very calm. There were a couple of mistakes before we conceded the goal. I remember Pablo Mari. What was that? I mean, what was that? But for me, the mistake that Pablo Mari made, and also the lack of concentration from Bukayo Saka. You still remember that very good save in the first half that Leno was forced to save. For me, literally, it is a summation of our season. We always lose concentration, and we are always going to make those mistakes. So Pablo Mari, of course, he receives the ball in a very difficult situation, but I think he could have done better than that, because he had space. He never had a lot of time, because as soon as the ball is played to him, Kai Havertz is already onto him, and you think, that's a little bit unfortunate. It's a very tight situation, but Havertz drives that ball all the way until he meets Leno, and then he pushes that ball over the bar. I think Pablo Mari should have done that, and I've already said this, that there are those small things that Pablo Mari gets wrong, and they are eventually gonna cost you the game. I've said that against Villarreal. I said that on the Everton game, and trust me, if Chelsea had scored fast through that Kai Havertz goal, because they just failed to capitalize on the mistake, they were going to win this game. They were going to win this game, because it was going to be a moment of torture. It was going to be 90 minutes of torture for us, trying to get into a back that is so, trying to get back into a game that is already so far away in terms of quality and possession, and also dropping as deep as possible. But we were lucky. Kai Havertz, I don't know whether he's just not a natural number finisher, but he failed to capitalize on that. Also, I did see Saka. I think it was Mason Mount or Ben Chilwell getting the better of him. He lost concentration. I mean, I thought he was gonna play that ball out for a corner or for goal kick, and then he loses concentration, and then Mason Mount plays that ball across, but Leno forces a very, very, very good save. I think he was equal to the challenge. That's the good thing to this. So I'm going to say the back line was a little bit organized today. The mistakes have always been there. We need to clear the mistakes. Arsenal needs to clear those mistakes. We can't keep playing like this. It's absolutely unacceptable. In my case, absolutely unacceptable. So we need to clear those mistakes. But I think the back line was a little bit more organized today. Not because Rob Holding was playing at the right-hand side or what. But I think we just held on to into that game for as long as we had to, and for as long as we could. The other positive I saw is a clean sheet. Is a clean sheet. You must be smiling, because you're Arsenal fans. Many of you are Arsenal fans, and Chelsea fans are not smiling because they know we robbed them. They should have had the better chances, and I'll talk about the goal in a minute. But I think the clean sheet is another thing that makes me happy. Look, I love Leno as a person, and I really feel so bad whenever I criticize him, because I know what he's capable of. I know he's a good goalkeeper, and today we have seen some of his good performances, especially with the concentration. He might not have made $1 million saves, but I think the concentration was there. Whenever we needed him, the communication, the timing, I think his concentration was there full 90 minutes. So I think the clean sheet was a little bit more of a positive. Let's be a little bit more honest. Now let us talk about the goal, which I think was a pure gift from Chelsea, but there is nothing wrong with that, because we had gifted them the same opportunity on the other end. Kai Havertz fails to capitalize. They give us the same opportunity on the other end, and then pierre-emerick takes his composure, takes his time, plays it back for Emile Smith-Rowe, and Emile Smith-Rowe finds the corner, and Arsenal lead and eventually win. It was a goal that you cannot celebrate for a week. It's not a goal that can go for into prime of the week. It's not a goal that we can rethink and how did we score the goal. I think it's a goal that comes once in a game, once in a while. Mistakes are always gonna be done, and I think it's so positive that we have capitalized on mistakes, because literally this season it has always been Arsenal punished because of their mistakes. We are either fouling someone in the box, we are either doing something wrong at a wrong time, we are either playing the ball at the back where you don't need to play it, and then we are penalized. And I think 90% of the goals we have conceded this season as a club is either a poor combination of two players trying to defend the ball, or one player making a mistake that literally costs us the whole game. The scenarios of Dani Ceballos, the scenarios of Ceballos and Daka, the scenarios of Mari and Daka against Villarreal. But capitalizing on that mistake, it was something good, because this was a game, and I told you this in when we are reacting to the starting lineup. I said this was a game that Arsenal was never gonna win through possession. We were never gonna, and I didn't expect Arsenal to win it. I thought it would be a 1-1 or a 2-1 win for Chelsea, and I was not wrong. The only thing Chelsea have failed to do is to get the ball past Leno, is to get the ball across the line. That's the only thing they have failed to do. And of course, I know what's in your head. You're telling me, Kosi, that is the most important statistic, in football, because it's a game. It's a game of results. It's a game of numbers. The moment you fail to get the numbers in terms of goals, you don't get the points, and then literally the results are meaningless. But I'm happy we were able to capitalize on that. I've seen a couple of some good performances today. I think Partey was great in that midfield, alongside anonymous Mohamed Elneny, who I expected not to do much, but I was impressed with Thomas Partey in there. I don't think personally, I don't think pierre-emerick Aubameyang was so great in this game, but I think Odegaard was great in the game. I love the way he was receiving that ball, passing it around. Of course, we didn't have a lot of time to showcase the skills and so on, because we were literally in an oven. We were in a prison. Chelsea, put us in a prison, and then they pressed the gas pedal so high that we couldn't breathe throughout the 90 minutes. So not so many positives to take away, but as an Arsenal fan, you need to take the positive. Let me try to make you understand what this win could actually mean for our season, because it's also very, very important. Now, there is this thing called the European Conference League, UEFA Conference League, not European, but the UEFA Conference League. So I'm going to try to make you understand what literally it means for us to play in the UEFA Conference League. Now, we are 8th. Spurs are 7th, and Liverpool are 6th. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, from the first one, the first club to the 4th club, they will go to the UEFA Champions League. 5th, 6th, so for us to qualify anywhere in Europe this season, what we will need to do is to qualify for the UEFA Conference League, and that is going to be if we can finish 7th. So that is why this win eventually means something. If Arsenal finish 7th, we shall go to a new competition introduced by UEFA called the UEFA Conference League. So it is, take it that it is the 3rd tier of European football. After the Champions League, the Europa League, then you have the UEFA Conference League. So it has been created by UEFA if we can finish 7th. And like I said, it's a tough job for us to finish 7th. A tough job. You have to pray for the likes of Liverpool to lose games. You have to pray for the likes of Tottenham Hotspur to lose games. I think we are fighting with Tottenham, Liverpool, literally, and Everton. So if we can beat the competition, we can go to a UEFA Conference League where we shall not get a lot of money, we shall not get a lot of pride. That it will be our first season happy days. It will be our first season to qualify for the UEFA Conference League, and that is what Arsenal is good at now. 5 years later, after 25 years of not playing, of not missing European qualification, we are going to somehow be smuggled into a new tier in Europe, which is for the weak, because we can't actually afford the Europa League, and we can't afford the Champions League. But let us go into the overall reaction in this game, which is majorly the negatives, because like I said, I've talked about the positives. I think there were a couple of positives in that game, and I'm glad that Arsenal could make those, we could make those positives. We could get those positives in the game. So let us start with our ball possession, the dominance. Chelsea literally dominated us from minute 1 to minute 90. When we had a shot on goal after the 16th minute, scoring from a mistake, Arsenal literally didn't have another shot on goal throughout the first half. We didn't have another shot on goal. We recorded only 2 shots on goal today. Only 2 shots on goal. And I told you this against Villarreal. I said it after the Villarreal game that our creativity, our press is absolutely anonymous. This club don't have an attacking mentality. It doesn't have. It doesn't happen. Literally, we were a club that was sitting back to hit back at Chelsea. It's like we had agreed already that Chelsea were miles and miles ahead of us. Something that, of course, you would agree, because they are, on top of their game. They have a very nice run. They are so good, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But I thought we could have done better a little bit. This was a North London derby. It never looked like a North London derby. And someone is going to tell me, because the worst team always wins the derby. I understand. We've beaten them. We've beaten them in December. We were the worst team. We were worse than them under Frank Lampard. Probably one of the reasons he got sacked later on. And then we have beaten them in the second leg again when we are the worst team. But it didn't feel like a derby. It didn't feel anywhere close to a derby. There was no competition in this game. No competition. From the goal that was scored, if it wasn't for Jorginho making that ridiculous back pass to your goalkeeper, and I'm asking myself, why is he, hitting it so hard like that to an extent that the goalkeeper is having to struggle with it, to that extent? Why are you, playing it back inside the goal? The goalkeeper is miles and miles. It was just lack of awareness. Just lack of awareness from Jorginho. But there was no fight in that game. I didn't see Arsenal try to make anything happen. It wasn't a derby. It was the way we played West Bromwich Albion. That's the way. Chelsea absolutely destroyed us. They absolutely manipulated us. They absolutely did everything humiliating against Arsenal. They only tried to show us that you're not welcome here. You're weak. You're weak, and that is how we've been all season. When we played Liverpool, when we played City, when we played Villarreal, when we played any side that is at least ahead of us or at the same level, as Arsenal, we have been shambles, an absolute shambles. For me, you only take this win to be massively positive if you're deluded. That is it. But if you're not deluded, this was not a positive win. This was not. This is not a game you can brag about, because literally the statistics do not show that. I barely enjoyed the game. That's the thing. I barely enjoyed it. No moments for Arsenal. No Arsenal going forward. You don't see Arsenal create chances. I mean, we had 2 number 10s on that pitch. We had Saka. We had Aubameyang and Thomas Partey. We didn't try to control the game. We didn't try to own the game. We didn't try to own our performance at any point in time. It was always Arsenal on the back foot. Tenterhooks, pressure. And my question is, when is this gonna end? When are we gonna see an Arsenal that dominates games? When shall we ever dominate Tottenham again? When shall we ever dominate the likes of Liverpool again? Because it's so tiring, it's so sick to see your club always fighting. Always fighting. And what you're fighting is not to concede. That's it. It's a game, I agree, it's a game where we had no chance. Chelsea have been absolutely remarkable. Because if you look at their last 5 games, they have lost 1 game, that is Arsenal. They have won 3 and drawn 1. So literally, their last 5 games have been absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. But it was a derby. At the end of the day, it was a North London derby. It was a game that decides, is London red, is London blue? And then we come out, on the pitch and become so lousy. It was a lousy win. It was so lousy. There wasn't anything like a fighting spirit in that team. Nothing. We contained the game. That was brilliant. But I did see us at least try to get moments of aggression in that game. Even when we had spells in the game when we had possession, there was no aggression. There wasn't any aggression. It looks like we are contented with that one goal. It looks like we are satisfied with the goal that we even didn't create ourselves. We didn't. So we didn't create. Apart from the mistake, we didn't score. So for me, guys, I was not happy with that performance. I was not happy. But the mentality that Arsenal have, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, it comes from the manager and it comes from how ambitious we are. But this is another performance that highlights what we need to do in the transfer market, and we're going to talk about that in big detail. But the mentality at this football club, when you score 1 goal, I'm gonna take you to a flashback. I think it was 4 weeks back when we scored an equalizer against Fulham at the Emirates Stadium. I think it should be 4 weeks back or around 3. When we scored an equalizer against Fulham again at the Emirates Stadium, after Fulham leading the game for almost 40 minutes, we went crazy. We went wild. That's it. We went wild. The mentality of a club like Arsenal is not to celebrate, is not to take a minute celebrating after equalizing against Fulham. I thought you get an equalizer against Fulham, get that ball back into the center and try to get a second goal. Try to see if you can get a second goal. But the moment we scored, the players showed you that this is our climax. And I think we have created more of a ceiling in our brains, in our attitudes, in our, the players have created that kind of ceiling that as long as we don't lose, as long as we are leading, it's okay. We are no longer an Arsenal that sees 3-0, 4-0, 5-0 as a win that is possible. It only comes by chance. It only comes by surprise. But the moment Arsenal get a goal, the moment Arsenal concede, the ceiling comes in, and we start losing concentration. We start giving away silly mistakes. It looks like the team has arrived at 1-0. It looks like the team has arrived at 1-1. And that's something that is so dangerous, very, very deadly. Because right now we are 8th, and the team is not fighting. So imagine if we were 6th on the table. Literally, it would be our heaven. So that performance there only shows you Arsenal have to do much. Arsenal have to do much in the transfer window. A lot. The first thing we need to do is getting players that have the right mentality. I don't know how we are going to attract that, but attract those players. But Mikel has said, well, you know what? Some of these players are going to be easy to attract. We are waiting for that. We are literally waiting for that. Because for me, in my case, in my opinion, this team needs a lot of changes. A lot of changes. The win reflects nothing. The details reflect more. Because at the end of the season, it's a time for us to reflect on detail. At the beginning of the season, as long as we beat Chelsea, as long as we beat Liverpool, it doesn't matter the attitude, that it doesn't matter the zeal you have shown as a club. The moment you get that win against a big rival, it means a lot. But at the end of the season, you have to pay more attention to detail. You have to pay lots and lots of attention to detail. Because the reason you have to pay a lot of attention to detail, you need to know, how is my evaluation? You're going to do an appraisal at the end of the season. And I'm just waiting to see how our appraisals are going to be. I'll try to listen in this channel, my appraisal of the season, my evaluation of the season. But I need to listen from to appraisals from the likes of AFTV, from the likes of DT, from the likes of Lee Judges. I need to listen to their appraisals. How do they evaluate this season? Because this season has been an absolute shambles. An absolute shambles. And this game as well, it's a shambolic win. An absolute shambolic win. I know Chelsea are in the mud, and that is the song we've got to celebrate. It's a win at the end of the day. But what does it cheat? For me, what do we get out of it? In the summer, we need to get in better players with a better mentality. That is the word. I mean, the likes of Pablo Mari, those are not players that should be playing for us, no? But because of the budget. If you look at the experience Thiago Silva gives Chelsea, it's not the same amount of experience. It's not the same amount of quality we get from Pablo Mari. And those are facts for facts. So, anyone is going to say, Kosi, Mari is okay, but I'm going to ask you, if you had a Giorgio Cherini there, or a Bonucci, would you play Bonucci or would you play Pablo Mari? That's the difference. That's the difference between having quality and settling for less. I think with having the likes of Pablo Mari, Granit Xhaka, those ones, you're just settling for less. I mean, financially, you have to settle for it. But the fact is, in the transfer window, a lot has to change at this football club. Reports I've had the commentators say that Arsenal needs a complete squad overall. I don't know whether that's going to happen. It's hard to happen to Arsenal to have a complete squad overall. I've read stories that we are going to let 7 players to leave at the club at the end of the summer. We shall discuss that tomorrow in the transfer segment. And I think more than 7 players need to leave this club. More than 7 players need to leave this club, and more than 5 players need to be introduced in the squad. This club is just very, very low. We are deep down in a ditch that's gonna be very hard for us to come out of. Very, very hard. I'll take the win positively. Happy days. Chelsea have lost. They are our rivals, and Arsenal have won it without any respect. That was embarrassing on that pitch. Very, very embarrassing. Chelsea absolutely schooled us. That's the word. They schooled us. The win, it was a beautiful win. I'm happy. I love the happy days, but there is no way I'm gonna be deluded. There's no way I can feel deluded about that win. Absolutely no way. Absolutely no way I can feel deluded ever. Says Smith Rowe. I think Smith Rowe deserves the credit he's getting. That's it. He deserves the credit he's getting. He's been playing consistently as a young player, 20 years of age. Ever since he started playing for us. He's been that consistent. So he deserves all the credit he's getting. Absolutely, he deserves it. Leno, man of the match against Chelsea. This is Dima from Kenya. Thank you so much, Dima. I have no issues with that. I think Leno was fantastic. He kept us in the game on multiple occasions. He really kept us in the game. Otherwise, we could have even done worse than that. Because we are just lucky, but Chelsea was the better team. I told you. We were just. I don't think if it was luck. I think our concentration was there. You need to give credit to the lads. Our concentration was there as well, but we need to do a lot better in terms of improving this squad. Kosi, Smith Rowe, fantastic. He scored the goal. He scored the goal. There's a difference between being so fantastic and scoring the goal. Literally, players like Smith Rowe are so good when we have the ball, and we didn't have the ball, or for that much time. So I think he scored the goal. We need to take the positive. He scored the goal. Where's Granit Xhaka nowadays? He got an injury. I think we were warming up for the Villarreal game second leg, and he got an injury, so he's not yet back. Sometimes I think Arsenal are buying a good striker, midfielder to partner Partey, and defender to replace Bellerin, because look at the strikers we have. Aubameyang is becoming like Ozil. I don't know what's becoming of Aubameyang, but his performances are very, very, very disgusting these days. Well done, the boys. You take the win. I'm shocked. Clean sheet win away with Mr. Rebolding. I think Chelsea should have done better. I think that's the word. They should have done better. Should have done better than that. Smith Rowe is a very, very good player. He's a very good player, and I think we can capitalize on his performances next season. He's a very good player. There is no doubt about that. Arsenal installed many defenders. That simply means we played a defensive game. I agree. I think all our focus was how to prevent Chelsea from scoring. We didn't open up. We didn't do anything like open up. We didn't play like a big team today. We were absolutely underdogs. Leno saved us in this game. I told you that, guys, there is something about Leno. I don't know why he keeps on putting in poor performances, but Arteta must go. Thank you so much, Mwejuma. The only problem with this club is Mikel Arteta, that is taller. Why Arteta can't see the problem and substitute Auba, who can't even hold a ball? He's been like that. He always makes the wrong substitutions. He's always gonna make late substitutions. I've not seen so many positives out of Mikel. Just to be sure, guys. Poor. This is according to Timothy. For me, it was a disgrace. An absolute disgrace. All the players must go, not Arteta. Man to man, the players lack quality. I agree with you, Kenny K. Elneny was another problem with a lot of back passes. I think the reason that's why we played a lot of back passes was our initial game plan was to play from the back. We were never going to open up. So there was literally no one Elneny could, try to open up with. So that's why whenever we got the ball, we were always passing it backwards. And it really makes me sick. Thomas Partey is playing alongside Mohamed Elneny is terrible. There is someone who loves Partey and Elneny. I hope they are here. Jerry says, I think of Arteta out and Diego Simeone in. We don't have the money to sustain a manager like Simeone. I don't think that is a little bit realistic. Poor performance, although we won. Ugly. It's an ugly win. We are Arsenal fans on this platform, and at times we have to be open to each other. I want you people to tell me, Kosi, this was a poor performance, and I'll take it. Obviously, I'll take it. It was a very, very poor performance. Very, very poor performance, wasn't it? Kosi, talk about the position for Europa. Do we have a chance next season if we win the last two games? We do not stand a chance. We do not stand a chance to go to Europa League. However, the only way we can go back to European football is through the UEFA Conference League. So we are playing a lower division than the Europa League if we finish 7th, which is also a little bit tight. Tell us more about Mavropanos and Saliba regarding their loan spell. This is according to Dima. All I can say at the moment is Saliba will be coming back. He's not going to stay with Nice on loan. He's coming back. Dinos Mavropanos wants to stay at Stuttgart, and Stuttgart have open talks to see that the player remains with them for another long season. Kosi, I told you that the combination of this is the man. This is Geoffrey. He really Godfrey. He really loves Elneny and Partey. He's good in midfield. They were very, very comfortable. That's according to Godfrey. A performance of Aubameyang, Saka today was not good. I think overall we've got to say this. Overall, our performance as a club was not good enough. That's the word. Hit the like button, people. Subscribe to the channel as well so that you don't miss content. Tomorrow we have 5 transfer shows. 5 transfer shows, because I've taken long without speaking about transfers. So 5 transfer shows coming on tomorrow. Make sure you subscribe and make sure you hit the like button. So I think our performance overall was not good enough. We didn't have a good performance to begin with. Yes, I understand. You can't say that the club was. There are those players that didn't have totally good performance, but the fact that Saka was playing right from the back to front, it was a little bit tiresome. You remember he's played as the backbone of us the whole season, and he must be tired. Our players are all weak. No one is serious at all. Plus the manager. Mando says we are happy. Of course, you've got to be happy when you get when you get a win against Chelsea. How organized they are. How good they've been in terms of investing. You've got to be happy. Who are we to beat Chelsea? And the reason and the fact that we are happy after beating Chelsea with that poor win only shows you how far this club has fallen. You can join me. The link is in the comment section. Join me. Link is in the comment section. Call in and get in your match reaction. Hello, Kosi. Arsenal played absolutely rubbish today. Arteta, we need to move on another thing. Another thing is Odegaard. He's a good player with the ball, but to be frank, he's not fit for English football. I think we are a little bit too harsh on Martin Odegaard. The team doesn't possess football. That's one of the problems. We need to first start possessing football before we can speak about players like Martin Odegaard being not good enough and being not fit for English football. We need to first start possessing the ball. First and foremost, and I must also say that I might also say that the team in full is very, very poor. Yeah, the quality of that team is a little bit lacking. And Mikel has been shouting in the media, I need more players, blah 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 blah. You know how he blabbers in press conferences. Players are attracted most by salaries paid. No, that is not true. Players are attracted to a club through so many things. If you try to understand transfers, I'll try to make sure I'll try to do a video trying to explain why players signed for some clubs and players fail to sign for other clubs. It's literally not salary, though it is also a part of it. Have someone on. How are you doing, Philip?
Hi.
What was that? What is your general reaction in that game?
It's a good result. But,
yeah.
I think that the performance was really bad. But people sort of be angry at that. But I was kind of expecting it because with the players we have, I was never expecting us to play better than Chelsea. And especially with the 3 at the back formation, I was definitely expecting them to sit back and just try to on the counter-attack. And luckily, Jorginho made the mistake, and then we got the goal, and then we managed to get lucky and not concede and get 3 points.
Yeah, I think the first positive you talk about is capitalizing on that mistake. But overall, the performance was very, very poor, and we've got to agree to that. The performance was so poor in that game.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's not really like based on it is based on performances. But even if you put in a bad performance and you win, people would rather play bad and win than play good and lose. So at the end of the day, we can't really complain. But we can complain about the performance, but at least we got the result. And that was the main thing that Arteta set out to do today.
Yeah, I mean, the performance was not that bad. I mean, the result was not that bad, but at times you need the respect, because I thought we were not playing under pressure. That's the first thing. We didn't play under pressure. We were playing a game where, whether we lost or we won, I think it should have given us something as the fans. It wasn't a good performance. It wasn't a game that meant anything. Come out and show football. At least try to play some good football at the end of the season. That's what Arsene Wenger used to do. He made sure that we are fourth. There is nothing to fight for. And then it gives us, good football at the end of the season. But this was this was poor, and the result, where does it take us anyway? Nothing. But anyway, do you think do you think this this performance means anything in terms of mentality? Because I've seen a change in mentality, probably.
Maybe it could motivate the players for next season, showing that they can beat a big team like Chelsea, especially like because right now they're currently the best team in the Premier League on form. They were beating everyone. They beat Man City. They were unbeaten for like I think this is Tuchel's only second loss as Chelsea manager. So yeah, I think it will help us mentally. But we still need to improve the performances because on another day, if Chelsea can finish their chances, we're losing that game easily 3-1.
Yeah, I think we were just damn lucky. We were so lucky. I think Mikel is gonna have something to smile about. Anyway, does this change your opinion about the manager? I mean, where do you stand?
I'm still Arteta out, but I still think he deserves some credit because he came to the game with a game plan and he executed it and it worked. So he does deserve credit, but I'm still Arteta out. And the reason why, like, look at Tottenham fans, even though they got to a cup final and stuff with Mourinho, they still wanted him out of the club because of the negative football he played. So even if Arteta's getting wins by just defending and getting lucky 1-0 wins, that's not good enough because we're going to be like frustrated with bad performances every single week. And I want our team to play nice, attractive football like we did it in the Wenger era.
Yeah. Anyway, one of the things I've seen about this game, and that's what I think I saw it because I came to see that is really how do we evaluate this squad at the end of the season, and who comes in and who should leave. I mean, I think this is a performance that really shows what we need to do in the summer.
Yeah. I asked you before the stream about your opinions on Camavinga, and I think he's the player that we actually really need, Camavinga, because he's good going forward, and he's good defensively, and he's a good box to box, and he's so good at this young age, at like 19, 18. Imagine how good he'll be if he like at 24, 25 when he's in his prime years. So and Fabrizio Romano, I think who it is who said it. He said that Arsenal are going to target only young players to sign, and I think that's good because it looks like it shows that the club is thinking ahead for the future and not just thinking about like right now, like get the results and stuff. We're looking to build for the future, so we're good now and in the next few years. But it's obvious that we need someone alongside Partey like Camavinga. It's obvious that we need like better defenders. We just need much better players in our squad. Our squad isn't good enough to challenge for European spots next season. But Kroenke said that he'll back us and he'll back Arteta. So hopefully he sticks to his word and spends some money in the summer for once.
Do you believe that? Do you believe
Nah,
the Kroenke is going to back him?
I don't think he will. He might, only because the fans are starting to turn against Kroenke. They're starting to realise that Kroenke needs to go. So they're starting to go to protests and Kroenke's realised that all the Arsenal fans are starting to turn on him. So I think to try stop the fans from getting onto him so much, I think he's going to try make a few big signings. So I wouldn't be surprised if we make like at least 2 or 3 big signings because he'd want to make sure that he stays as the owner, because the more signings he makes, the more the Arsenal fans will love him and the more likely he'll stay at the club. But I still think we should get a new owner. I still think Daniel Ek should come in and take over, especially with the legends like Henry and Bergkamp.
Okay. Who was your man of the match overall?
Smith Rowe.
Smith Rowe.
On the ball, he was great, creating chances, and off the ball as well, he was working hard, putting in crucial tackles. It was either him or Partey for me.
Okay. Thank you so much, Philip. That has been Philip. Good listening from HG as well. How are you doing, bro?
Yeah, bro. How you doing, man? Big win for us. First win at Stamford Bridge since 2011.
Yeah, I mean that is that is what is so exciting about it, and I think that's the best positive to take away. Since 2011, you've not beaten Chelsea away from home. You've beaten them, you know, in a double. I mean, at home and away, and then at a time when they are at their peak in the Champions League finals. Yeah, you could take it. You could take it. But how are you feeling about that performance overall
I
in a
think
derby?
I think we switched formation today, so we played back three. So
Yeah,
we basically parked the bus. We played like Burnley, Brexit football, whatever you want to call it. And but I think if you're going to play like that, you're not going to get many chances. And then the chances you do get, you have to score. And we did that today. We got the dodgy chance. We did score. Other than that, what big chance did we create in this game? You have to be real with yourselves. I think this game was based on good defending, and which we did today. And the thing is, Arteta has changed formation so many times this season. He's changed the tactics so many times this season. He's changed the backline too many times this season. There's no consistency, and which is why we're not seeing consistency in terms of results on the pitch, because we're not keeping things around like our squad, our tactics consistent, and it's too little too late. Look, we've beaten Chelsea double since first double over them since 2003 2004 when we last won a league title, first win since 2011 when Van Persie scored a hat-trick. That's all good, but it's too little too late. We're still 8th, not good enough. If Everton win, we still go back to 9th. So what's the
yeah,
gain?
exactly.
You know what
And
it is. It's all
yeah,
good beating Chelsea. We can banter Chelsea fans. We can do all this, but if we look at it, reality, we're still in the same position because we've had performances like this in the season. Remember, go back to Man United game, when we beat them 1-0.
yeah,
Similar, same exact thing. We parked the bus, and then we got the one chance from the penalty and we scored. Okay, so
yeah.
I think you have to look at it a bit more logistically and think, look, it wasn't the greatest game. We just had a bit of good defending, a bit of luck on our side, and we got the 3 points. Ultimately, it doesn't mean anything because we're not going to get Conference League. We're not going to get 7th. We're not getting Europa League, not getting Champions League. We're mid-table at the moment, and I think we just have to move forward with that.
Just away from the game, I want to ask you this: do you think a season away from Europe could do us any better? Probably try to get us, focused on the league and try to boost our mentality back. Less games, more focus on the few games you have. Probably in the domestic
Yeah.
competitions. Do you think that would do us any better?
That's something I've been thinking about myself actually, because obviously I think one side of it is that if you want to attract the big players, you need to have Europe. Because I think I've heard from people like Fabrizio Romano who talk to these agents, and when they're deciding what players what clubs they're going to go to, they look at
Mm,
Europe. Who has Champions League? Who has at least Europa League? They
yeah,
look at these things. So if let's say, for example, in an imaginable universe, we're going for Grealish, and he's picking over Man City, Arsenal. Who's he going to? Man City, obviously. Firstly, they got Champions League football. As much as you can say, oh, other things like Arsenal stature. Look, we have to be in Europe, and we're not in Europe, and we're not going to be in Europe next season. But I think on the other hand of the spectrum, it gives us more time to prepare for games. It'll give
mm,
us an upper hand on them teams. Like, some teams have had the season, like maybe an Aston Villa, Everton, so they can climb the table. Maybe West Ham as well. That's a big one. They've not had Europe this season, but they'll have Europe next season, so they might struggle. So I think on one hand, I would say it's a bad thing because we're not going to be able to attract those top players we want to. So we will have to go into the second category of players to try and sign, which is going to be bad for us because if we want to challenge for the top of the table, we need the top players. That's how you're going to challenge. But on the other hand, I think it will give us more time to prepare for games. And if it's Arteta, another manager, maybe more time to prepare tactics. But it's 50-50 for me.
Mikel has said that his targets, are still interested in joining the club despite the ridiculous finish of the
Yeah.
season. Do you believe him? Do you think that
No,
is
I don't
just
believe Arteta because he's come out and said that Kroenke supports him. Kroenke does not support him. Look, a lot of people are saying this is going to be the biggest summer transfer window of Arsenal's history. They said that last summer. They said that summer before. Said the summer before. Look,
Mm,
this season, if Arteta, look, you know me, Gozzy. I want Arteta gone. I think you're the same. But
yeah.
if Arteta is going to stay, give him the money. Okay. So if it comes to October, November, and it all comes crumbling back down and we're 10th, 15th again, then there's no excuse. Then there's no excuse that, oh, the
Yeah.
Kroenke didn't back him, the board didn't back him, this didn't back him. There's no excuses because then he'll be firmly on Arteta. I still think a lot of these players are Arteta's players. what he's
Yeah.
re-signed contracts, he signed these players for free or whatever. But I think give him the money, give him what he needs. A lot of people are saying £200 million. I think that's ridiculous. But I think there's a lot of players, especially out on loan, that we can get some decent money for. I've done calculations. Maybe the loan players we have at the moment, we could sell for over £100 million. So if we can get some of those loan players out, get some of the players we already have out of the club, and then maybe use that to sign players, okay. But for me, I would get rid of Arteta now, give the money to a better manager so they can get more out of the current players and sign his own players. So until we get a new owner, which is going to take 2 or 3 years, don't think that another owner is going to come in within the next 2 weeks. It's not going to happen. It'll happen in the next 1 or 2 years. Get a better manager in, give him the money, and then we can move forward, stabilize as a club, and then try and move up that table. Because this is becoming, look, 9th, 10th isn't good enough for this club, and we have to do better.
And it's surprising that I've read somewhere that the introduction of the UEFA Conference League is to help clubs like Arsenal be represented somewhere in Europe, and it's gonna be ridiculous that we can't even qualify. We can't earn a place in the Conference League. It's so mad, but I think this is gonna be a summer to watch out for, bro. I think it's gonna be a big summer to watch out for. Yeah, not really big to that Arsenal is gonna sign big names, but probably to watch and see what's gonna happen.
Ambition maybe of the owner, if he does really want to care, if he does really care. Because the thing is now, there's so much divide between clubs that spend a lot of money, like Man City, like Chelsea, maybe United, and then clubs like Arsenal, Tottenham, who don't want to spend that kind of money, who the owners do not want to put that kind of money into the club. And ultimately, if this keeps going on, we're going to keep getting further away from those clubs. But the thing is now, what football has become now, you have to put a lot of money into it. It's just how it is now. It's not back in how Arsene Wenger did it 20, 25 years ago, where you could just bring in some youngsters, train them well, and you can win a league title. It's not like that anymore. You have to throw a lot of money at it. But the thing is, we need people in the board, like in the technical director of football, who are going to spend the money in the right places. That's something also we need to watch out for. But can Edu do that? Can Vinay do that? I don't know. And that's a tricky question for me, because you look at some of the players we've been linked with. Can they do a job for us? I don't know. But I think that's a question for the summer transfer window.
Yeah. Just last one question, bro. I've seen Lee Judges saying, and this really, I need to watch some, I need to rewatch that interview, but I seen him saying that Arteta is the luckiest luckiest manager ever, because we won a Newcastle game, literally trying to tell us that the Newcastle game has saved his job. Really, do you think anything at this point in time, after, because I believe our season is long gone, do you think anything positive, there is anything positive that can save his job? That can try to make us rethink that maybe he needs to stay.
I think he has been very lucky. You can go back to when we won the FA Cup, the Sheffield United quarter-final. We had 2 VAR decisions given against them. So if they would have scored it, they would have got through. We would have got knocked out quarter-final round. Semi-final and the final Community Shield, Aubameyang carried us. Let's be real, Aubameyang carried us. Yes, defensive performance was good. But if Aubameyang wasn't on form, we would have lost those games. So I think in that sort of respect, Arteta's been very lucky. And then you go to the Chelsea game, Boxing Day, where we won 3-1. And that's where the emergence of Smith Rowe came. He got very lucky in terms of that, because it wasn't Arteta putting Smith Rowe in. He was forced to put Smith Rowe in because of injuries, if you remember. So I think he has been so lucky in a lot of areas. In terms of, also he's been lucky in terms of, I think coronavirus, this whole pandemic thing, is giving him a free pass, because fans haven't been in the ground. Do you think, Ozzy, if we're losing 3-0 at home to Aston Villa, you're going to have fans screaming trust the process? No, they're going to be trying to hound out the manager. And I think at that point, if this was like a normal season, all fans were allowed in, and then you had us losing 3-0 to Aston Villa, Granit Xhaka getting sent off against Burnley, losing 1-0, you're going to have fans not turn up. He would have lost his job in November. But now I think he's so lucky in terms of that he's got the free pass, and now we're in a situation now where we're having an okay end to the season, beating obviously West Brom, now Chelsea. But I think, look, we'll just see how the summer transfer window folds, and how, if he stays, if he doesn't, and how the new season progresses.
Okay, thank you so much, bro.
Thank you, bro. No problem.
Okay, guys, that is it. I mean, a win, but an ugly performance. Just look at some of your comments as I log off. London is red. This is according to Benga, and says London is red. Cranky out. This is according to NASA. Ronald is saying, Kosi, if we buy good players and we don't change the coach, we are going nowhere. Honestly, Kosi, tell me the style of football this guy coaches. Is it attacking or defensive? Cranky out. This is according to Gabriel. And Jerry says, yeah, Philip is right. So, guys, thank you so much for locking in. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit the like button. Like I said, tomorrow I have a lot of transfer content to talk about, starting with the fact that Arsenal is said to be going to sign young players. What does that really mean for our structure as a club? I think that's one of the things we've been really doing so wrong. Signing players that are really outrageously old. So I think it will make some sense. Until I'm gonna upload my fan cam. I think I'll speak about this game a little bit, in a cool way. As a fan, I really love it when I speak as a fan. So I'm gonna upload my fan cam. I'll upload the player ratings, and we will react to Mikel Arteta's press conference, because he spoke around transfers.